welcome to Faith, Family, and Politics. I'm your host, Joshua Cummins.
We're going to have a really big show today.
That's our good friend Louis Rodriguez here in studio with us. Woohoo! He's back in studio.
That was the studio audience there.
I didn't have the audience button. I thought we were going to get a claps on him for sure, and Sterling is looking for the button. So while he looks for that button to cheer for Louis, there it is.
30 minutes in, there's a random clap and cheer.
Thank you.
It's all Louis fans. Huge crowd out here. They won't turn the cameras around. They're fake news. But welcome to Faith, Family, and Politics once again. But while I'm getting ready to kick things off, we're going to talk about Revolver Broadcasting just a little bit because we like to. I guess it's not bragging. We're shooting for the stars here. We're trying to change the culture, right, Alan?
Yes, sir. Every time.
So we're trying to bring it back to where people understand that family values is an okay thing to strive for. So we have shows like this, Faith, Family, and Politics. We have Louis' show, Rodriguez Rants.
It's not very family.
It's not very family friendly, but it does teach family values. And then even though it's a little more risque, as we'll say in the business, we do have the Laughing Libertarian with our good friend Alan McFarland.
Oh, are you introducing me now?
Yeah.
We're talking about the show.
Yeah, you got crickets from Sterling, so.
You know what, Sterling? Anyway, yeah, thanks for having me on. And I'm putting out episodes again.
Yeah.
Back in the studio. So, don't bring your kids, but enjoy the show.
Yeah, season 2 is much more spicy, right?
Double spicy.
And then we have another show called What is the Truth About? ... with Danny. That's host Danny Tippett. Make sure you check that out. That is a faith-based show. So the ... is to fill in that with that subject. His most recent episode was about Christianity in particular. So make sure you're checking that out. He's got a new episode of that coming out soon. Rodriguez Rants has got a new episode coming out soon. And, Laughing Libertarian is cycling right into your feed there. So make sure you're watching all these shows. Know that we do have a website coming. There's a man in the studio tonight. He's been working tirelessly on it. Cam Reed.
Ironically, he's asleep. Just kidding.
That's only because I'm so boring. No, but he has been working tirelessly on it, and I have to get him a few more things to help him get to the end goal on that. But we do have a website in the works. We have comic books that are in the works. We're working day and night, it seems, trying to get these things out here for you guys. And those comic books are going to be for entertainment's sake. So they're not going to have a particular slant of left or right or anything like that. It's just stories for story's sake. So you can have some escapism in your life.
You're going to get to see Josh in tights.
Nobody wants to see that. Not even the wife.
Well, there goes the first run of comic books.
Yeah.
They're going to be in a closet somewhere.
Yeah, that is not a wrestling career that I want to go for.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Bills are paid?
Before we say bills are paid, make sure that you're liking this, right? You got to smash the like button now.
You got to smash it. You can't
Smash
just tap it.
Yeah.
There's no politely touching it. That's just not how it works.
Smash it.
Smash that like button.
It's somewhere down in the bottom,
Yeah.
The like button, the little thumbs up thing.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's what YouTube's got. And then Rumble's got a little plus button to rumble us up, I guess. I don't know what they call it when it has it's a like.
I think it's a like, but I don't know exactly.
I know it's a plus or minus, and we've only ever gotten pluses. Not we don't have many viewers, but on Rumble. But you got to fix that. Go over to Rumble to watch this show. But yeah, make sure you're liking, comment. We want to hear from you. If there's things that you want to kick in on the conversation here, make sure you're commenting and share. Sharing is caring. I didn't get the button there either. I tried to prompt.
He's not paying attention to you right now.
Let's try it again. Sharing is
Caring.
No, you're not.
I think it's a purple button.
That's okay. We're having technical difficulties.
I tried. Batting 1,000 this week. That's
technical problem.
Yeah. Yeah. See, sharing is caring. And so now that the bills are paid, and we've already introduced these other two gentlemen at the table.
Oh, gentlemen.
Yeah, upgrade. Across from me this week, welcoming her back, the softer side of Faith, Family, and Politics, Yvonne Metcalf. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I hear that you've got a message for us this week.
I do, and it's called Today's Difficulty is Tomorrow's Lesson.
I like it.
So if you want to, we'll go ahead and get that started. If you want to go ahead and kick us off in prayer, that would be great, Josh. Thank you.
Can do. Certainly. Father God, we want to thank you for this time of fellowship, to be able to get around this table here and talk about all of these things and be able to point it all back to you, God, and show people that they're not alone out there and that your glory is to be not only worshiped, but also to be spread throughout the land. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. So it's not going to start out like that, though. It doesn't usually, because we're human beings. And
Sorry, that was me.
so today's difficulty, tomorrow's lesson. So a few months back, I got to give a little history on this. I was working at another place, and I was dealing with a Bible study on basically anger management. And so I had to do this worksheet and filled it out about things that I didn't like. I don't know about you. There are some things that just, tick you off right away.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. So I just went down this list, people who think they know it all. When I go for help from somebody and they don't listen, any leader, supervisor, person in authority who is unfair or incompetent, any person who judges me before they know me, anyone who hates America, people who think they are in charge but they're not. Those things just make me angry. And I don't know about you. There's other, it varies from person to person, obviously.
I can relate to a lot of
I
those.
agree with you.
We talk about it a lot with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
Thank
doesn't even
God
remember.
we don't have none of that over here.
He doesn't even remember to hate. He just dawdles.
Right.
Thinks
Oh
he's in
my
charge and
goodness.
he's not.
He thinks he's in charge, but he's not. Exactly. Yeah.
He's checking off the boxes there. I
Right.
can see why you don't like him.
He hates America. Okay, never mind.
He really does.
Okay. So,
But yeah, back to your message.
anyways, yes. Okay. So the plan. So I had to come up with a
gotta
plan
get rid
Cut
of
it
this
out, Josh.
after I explained what
I'm
the.
dropping I'm sorry. This thing is
sorry.
It's got to go.
So sorry. we have all kinds of drink rules we have to follow, and Josh is breaking them all somehow.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. The host is breaking every single one of them. That's my fault.
You're a
I'm
great
taking-
host, Josh.
Taking ownership for it. I'm taking ownership for it.
Okay, so anyways, I was supposed to come up with a plan here. So some of my thoughts were to confront, walk away, don't assume, speak the truth in love. That's an actual verse in the Bible. And it's a good plan of action, too, a lot of times. Pray, ask God for help. I did a show a few months back about prayer.
Yes.
And remember, there's a level playing field. We're all on the same level. No one's better, no one's less. So, sometimes you get to feeling either like, oh, yeah, I did great, or like, oh, I'm just worthless. No, neither one. We're all right here.
Yeah.
Then breathe. You've heard that count to 10 thing, or at least take a breath before you speak. And then be kind, but speak the truth. And so we're supposed to speak it. We're not supposed to hold it in, which I'm guilty of that. No, nothing's wrong. Never mind. Everything's wrong. I'm going to kill you.
You're sitting at the table with three fellas that cannot hold anything in.
I was going to say, Louie and I definitely don't have shows if we count to 10.
Well, it's not applicable to everything, but yeah, we're going here. We're talking about personal relationships, so yeah that's whole different thing. Pray, live out the truth. So worry about your character, not what people think, and forgive, because perfect love casts out fear. So that's my plan. The plan that I came up with 6 months ago.
That it does, and to further your point on that, and Sterling and I were talking about this not too long ago, how kindness lumps of coal, heaps lumps of coal. Is that correct? I want to make sure I say it right. Heaps lumps of coal on your enemy's head. Kindness heaps lumps of coal on your enemy's head. I got that wrong initially. I know, Alan. I stumbled. I had a Biden moment. That's okay. I made Alan laugh.
Perfectly fine.
Woo, mercy.
At first, it sounded like it belonged on my show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We'll clip it. No, I'll leave it in because, mistakes. Yeah, today's difficulty, right?
Yeah, today's difficulty. Yep, going through it. Okay, so we're supposed to put off things. The Bible talks about putting off, putting on, putting off the old nature, putting on the new nature. And so we're going to follow this train of thought here. Things that we shouldn't be thinking. I hate you. I wish I'd never met you. You're incompetent and unhelpful. I don't care what you say. Serves you right. You shouldn't be there. I should. Bad name calling, rage even. Wishing they were dead. Wishing payback on them. Somebody ignoring them. Snubbing them. Being impatient. Even lying or possibly gossiping. This is all tough stuff. I mean, I don't like to even say it as a Christian to say, well, maybe I've thought that. But it happens, and we still have that old nature, and that's why we're supposed to put it off.
Yeah. Did you hear about so-and-so? They're a terrible parent. Terrible parent.
Right? Oh, yeah. And sometimes it's disguised as a prayer request, which is even worse.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it firsthand, Alan. It does exist.
Yeah, so he's going to learn what he doesn't want to know. We're imperfect still as Christians, true story. Yeah. So we got to put on the new nature, which is, of course, talked about in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter is what that's called. Love, charity is kind, patient, not easily provoked, rejoices not in iniquity, but in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. We're supposed to be respectful for people in position of authority. We're supposed to prefer one another. We're not supposed to be fake about that. Some people will do that to your face and then behind your back, stab you in the back. Mm-hmm. But we're supposed to be sincere in that, and which is a little difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And Jesus says, my peace I leave with you, not as the world gives. And then you're supposed to pray for people who you're trying to deal with, that they see the truth, and then maybe have an opportunity to speak the truth to them. And then you are supposed to trust God. And that's something that we say all the time, but I mean, really, trust God. So
talking about that difficulty earlier, and it's like,
right,
you want to take care of it yourself. We think we're so big and mighty on our own until something comes up and we're like, dang it,
can't do it.
Yeah,
not
too big for
me. Yep.
See, if I say my peace I leave with you, it means you're in a bad neighborhood and I want you to be safe. It's a Second Amendment thing.
Okay, Ron DeSantis.
Awesome.
Let's pull out the holster. My peace I leave with you.
Right. Okay, so we need to experience and embrace His grace so that we can pass that on to other people in a nutshell. Okay, so Psalms 91 verses 1 and 2 is a wonderful verse, and it talks about God and how He takes care of us. It says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. I love this. In the shelter of the Most High, I will rest. Deep breath. I'm going to rest now. Yeah. In the shadow, do you know why I am in His shadow? He's bigger than I am. He is the Almighty. He is so strong, like a wrestler or like a giant. He is my refuge. Someone who is running for their life needs a refuge, a safe space. He is my refuge and my fortress. Ever try to break into a fortress? You can't. The walls are too thick. There are locks, deadbolts. You can't get in. God is my fortress. And there is usually provision so you can eat, shower. There might be flowers. Anyway, it's a place. My God in whom I trust. Do you know why I trust Him? He is my refuge. He is my fortress. He is my God. He is bigger than me and anyone or anything that I am afraid of. So those verses were an awesome blessing to me prior to the past few weeks. but we forget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we do.
So, so I sat down to get ready for the podcast. You asked me to do the podcast this week, and I'm like, the podcast, grr, I can't do this. I'm working a different job at a daycare now. Sorry, a school, never mind. A daycare, changing pull-ups, cleaning spills, reminding children of the rules. It's not my favorite.
I guess that's one of the worst jobs out there.
It's not my favorite. I love the kids, but the job is difficult sometimes. The only thing
kids, yeah.
with small children, it's small children. The only thing I want to do is teach them and comfort them, and I'm doing the other part of that. So but this is my job, this is my title, so that's what I'm doing. And so had to do the podcast, and I'm going, I don't have anything. I'm fresh out of Amazing, and I'm reading this book called Fresh Out of Amazing. And so this girl is talking about a lot of common things that women deal with. I'm exhausted. I'm not good enough. God isn't listening. He doesn't love me. No one appreciates me. On and on we go with this thing. And she's saying that we're supposed to be patient and wait on God because he's working on things that we can't see. When we can't see it for our good and his glory. And so I go to Romans 8:28, one of my life verses. It says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God and to them who are the called according to his purpose. But what about now? What about with what's happening now in my real life? Okay? It's not just a theory. Okay? Ironically, I was also looking into a Bible study on having a focus on self, which we're not supposed to do. So what does this all mean? And I wrote down right here, I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know where I'm going. I am literally lost at this moment. I don't even see why I'm here. It was advice from a friend, a bunch of closed doors. And so here I am in a Christian environment and feeling like anything but a Christian because I'm really frustrated. And I don't like I told you before, I like to know the steps ahead. I like to know where are we going, and God is not telling me where we are going right now. He's like, nope, you need to listen.
He'll never tell you where you're going to go.
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead. Okay. So anyway, I was asking this question, is God working really? And then right away I'm like, yeah, I know he is. I've been saved for 40 years now. I know that he's working. Yeah. Just like David did in the Psalms, he'd say, where are you, God? Then he'd say like, oh yeah, but never mind. I know you're working it out. So I feel a lot like that in this current moment. I just can't see it. I can't always see it clearly. I don't know what he requires of me other than working diligently, which is what I'm doing to the best of my ability. And so 2 things came to mind. Don't quit and be who God wants you to be, and die to yourself, which is not popular in this culture.
No, it's not.
But it's something that we have to do. And so I came to the conclusion the job is basically irrelevant because he can literally use anything to bring glory to himself. I can be a ditch digger or I can be the president, and God can get glory from my life because I am being who he wants me to be. You spend your whole life, your whole school life, what am I going to do? Where am I going to fit? What best uses my talents? No, God wants you to be who you are supposed to be, wherever you are, and then he can get glory from that. And so the verses I came up with here are from the book that I was reading, and I'm just going to run through these really quickly. The first one is in Matthew chapter 11. Let me get to my Bible here on my phone.
Certainly.
I'm not going to text anyone for this. Dear Lord. No, just kidding. Matthew.
Wouldn't that be great if you could just,
Right? Text God. Would that be awesome?
yo, Jesus, what's up?
My goodness.
He replies, in international waters roaming. I'll get back to you soon.
Oh, Lord.
AT&T won't sign up for my data plan.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So this is, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly of heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. So I'm not feeling like resting right now. I'm feeling like really stressed, but he's saying, no, you need to let that go and let me handle it.
Yep.
And just trust it. Okay, next verse. By the way, I truly hate waiting, in case you can't tell. Okay, which brings me to Isaiah 40:31, which is another good verse, another life verse that I've known forever, that I need to be reminded of sometimes.
Certainly patience is a virtue. And I'll tell you this. I want to look at the camera when I say this too, because people need to know. Never, ever pray for patience, because God's going to answer that prayer over and over and over and over again in your life. And you're just like,
No.
Unless, of course, you're fresh out of med school, then pray for patience because you need the money back.
I could always give you my
or
card.
if that's your girlfriend's name, I guess maybe you want to pray for her to, accept your marriage proposal. But otherwise, don't be like, hey, God, I could use some more patience, because he'll make
It'll
you.
definitely put you in that position to have patience.
If not, I'll give you my card to my psychiatrist. He'll help you with that.
He'll help you with patience. Maybe. Maybe not.
I'll be impatient with them. I'll be a terrible patient. Sorry, it was low
It
hanging fruit.
was too much, yeah. Alan's influencing. Okay.
From across the table. He's
Sorry,
quiet.
everyone.
Okay, so this is another good one. It just says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And then the next one here is in Isaiah 43. And it tells us, behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, and you will not know it. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Next verse, Romans chapter 5. If you happen to have a Bible handy.
But also, I just like that verse right there, because it's like he's always gonna give us a way.
Exactly. Right? Where you don't see it. In the desert, a river? Really?
Right?
Yeah, really.
I know Alan would get excited. Is there a gulch here?
A gulch.
Nice.
Is there a story with that?
No, not necessarily.
No. He likes whitewater.
I do a lot of water stuff.
I see. I gotcha. Okay, so the next one here is in...
He's a fish.
I'm just dragging a kayak through the desert. No, I'm going to find something.
Come on, God. Where is it?
Come on.
I know you're going to give it to me.
Make it crazy. 3 hours in, I've just flipped the kayak over and I'm underneath it. Stay in the shade.
Help!
Bring the water.
He's texting Jesus.
Sorry, in Israel right now. Get back to you soon.
As long as he don't get swallowed by a whale.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh,
Serves him right.
A whale? I'm sitting there in my kayak here. Just a whale across the sand. I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
We get off the rails quite a bit on here.
Oh my goodness, you are too much. Oh Lord, he gives a sense of humor to some people. I'm serious. Okay.
Just nobody here.
Oh my goodness. So anyways, wow, I did lose my train of thought on that one. Okay, not only so, but we glory in tribulation, also knowing that tribulation works patience, patience experience hope, and hope makes not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad on our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given to us. So you were talking about that patience, he works on that, and that works in us experience, and experience gives us hope. So when we see a situation come up, then we're not just going to throw in the towel. We're going to say, he did this before, he can do it again.
Yep.
Okay, last verse, Habakkuk, which is where this kind of all started for this lady. She was doing this study in the book that I mentioned before.
My dad mentioned that book last week.
It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon a tower and will watch to see what he will say to me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And she was talking about him getting her attention because we're so busy doing life. We have to do the dishes. We have to do the laundry. We have to put food on the table. We have to go to work. We have to put gas in the car. We have to take care of kids if we're in that stage of life. Mm-hmm. And it just keeps going. It doesn't stop. And so you have to be intentional about stopping to listen. Mm-hmm. Just like I do with the little children. When you want a 3 or 4 year old's attention, they are easily distracted.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of say, look at me. Look at me. I want your attention here. And this is what I want you to do.
Listen, Alan.
And so
I was just thinking we distracted her. And now she's telling us about how to get distracted. How to bring someone back to distracted.
It's the truth, though. Yeah, yep, you got it, dude. No kidding. I get distracted myself, and so God says to me, look at me and wait for my answer. This is what I'm telling you to do. And so I just have to stop and listen. And that's what this was. It was a watchtower, a place where he could be alone and wait and listen. And he didn't say, if God talks to me, he said, I'm going to listen to what he will say to me. So he knew God was going to answer, but he just had to wait for it.
Yeah, you have to find your place of solitude so that you can listen. Right?
So you can listen, yes.
Yeah. We've had a lot of instances like that, haven't we, Louis?
Yes, he still haven't listened. I mean, he still haven't answered me yet.
But he will. He will in his time.
Yeah. When I see St. Thomas.
Right. Two days ago is when I wrote that. Yesterday and today, I was lead teacher in the 3-year-old class for 2 days because she got sick. The teacher got sick. Mm-hmm. And so God kind of is showing me that, yes, you're going to get to do some things here, maybe a little baby step in this direction. So I'm just still waiting to see what his plan is. Yeah. And I won't know really till the end. I think I'll look back. There's that song, I wish I could think of it. It's talking about when I get to the end of my life and you've already been there. You're already there. That's what it's called. Yeah. You're already there.
I think Sterling knows that he's over there talking about it.
Have you heard that one?
Casting Crowns.
Yes.
Already there, yeah.
Great song, yeah. And so when we get to the end of our life, we'll look back and we'll say, oh, he was there. He was there. That's what he was doing. But we just don't know now because we're in the middle of it. So that's my story. So that's today's difficulty, tomorrow's lesson. We'll see where it goes. Okay, so you have some thoughts about that, some times when you've had to wait, maybe?
Yeah, so we all have those things that like we learned in the moment, but we didn't know we learned it in the moment because we had a discussion a little bit before here. Yvonne and I did, and I was talking about. I watched a little bit of stand-up before I left work today, while I was checking my emails, and there's this guy named Michael Jr.
Were you sitting down while watching the stand-up?
I was, ironically.
I like it.
No, I don't even know if that's ironic at all, because most people are sitting down when they're watching stand-up, right?
Because the person standing is the person talking.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. But yeah, the comedian's name is Michael Jr., and he talked about his difficulty with dyslexia as a small child. And I think we're getting a lot of laughter over there in the producers row. I don't know what is going on or what's making so much. Faces are red. I know that. I know.
We're just looking for.
Did I say something?
I don't know. We're just looking for a tiny bit of professionalism. That's all we're looking for. Just a little bit.
I don't know. I must have missed it.
Oh, don't worry.
I was
about
joking.
Let's go on with the story.
That'll be in the outtakes, or is that what it called?
I'm just going to leave that in. I'm going to let them feel the conviction of the shame of their laughter at whatever I was saying.
No one's gonna join me. Shame.
Shame on you. No, but there is a comedian. His name is Michael Jr. and he talks about having dyslexia as a young man and how that was a really tough difficulty for him to overcome. And at the time, he didn't know what he was going to do. And so whenever he had to look at words or try to read to keep up with the class, he developed a list of 7 different ways to look at it. 7 different ways to look at these words. Did I say something else? Because I see a lot of
I'm chuckling because I was just thinking about how tragic that is when the doctor comes out. And what if the doctor doesn't tell you of dyslexia? They write it down. They hand you the sheet that says dyslexia.
No. Turn it into the pharmacy and you're still clueless.
You're like, I don't know what this is. I have no idea.
And then you get to the pharmacist and they say, dyslexic, huh? What? Deaf too. We should probably get you some hearing aids while you're here.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I'll be quiet for 35 or 40 seconds.
That's okay. But yeah, he talks about how difficult that was as a small child, and that I can relate to that a little bit. I'm not dyslexic, but I always said I was never a strong reader. I stumble a lot even on this show because I'm just not a strong reader, never have been. But he developed a list of 7 different ways he would have to look at those words and put them into context, look how other people were reacting to them, all those things, so he could figure out how to read. And he still wasn't the strongest reader, but he at least somewhat keep up with his fellow classmates. Well, he didn't know it at the time, but that allowed him to also later in life look at everything that way. So he was tackling everything that way. So when he does comedy, he's looking at something because he finds funny in everything he does, he says, but he not only finds it funny one way, he finds it funny 7 different ways.
Which is great for a comedian.
Yeah. And he brought up some points, and I don't want to ruin any of it. So check out Michael Jr., by the way, because he's really funny. He performs in a lot of churches, great Christian comedian. And but yeah, I just can't imagine like you have that thing in your life that's so difficult at the time. It's really a mountain to climb. Mm-hmm. But God was only allowing him to practice. He was practicing
for something totally different, bigger, and much better.
And that became his livelihood,
right.
Comedy.
Right.
How fantastic.
Amazing.
And I think we've all had things like that early in life or even just, like if it's just a few days spread. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's your story. What about you, Louie? Can you think of a time that you had to wait on something that was helpful later that you didn't know was going to help you at that time?
I've been trying to wait on a lot of money here lately, and I ain't getting it.
Alan was pointing at himself.
Yeah, like when you guys are all here waiting for me to show up,
well,
and then it pays off.
Sooner or later, God will bring you here early. But yeah, there's been plenty of times that I've been patient and waiting for things to happen, and it doesn't happen, and there's nothing you could do about it, but just sit back and wait until it does happen. This is the way I see it, because if you push yourself to want to make it, it ain't going to always work the way you want it to work. So you just got to lay back and let it happen.
I always think of things like that, like trying to grab a bar of soap. What I'm saying is no matter how hard you want that soap, right? If you grab that soap too tight, it shoots out, right? That's kind of like, that's how a lot of things in life can be at times. No matter how hard you want it, if you grab it too tight, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work in your favor.
As long as you don't drop it.
That's definitely fair.
And the lesson you learn from that is to buy body wash.
Well, or as soon as I catch it, I put it on a rope.
Oh, boy.
That is one way to do it.
Okay, Alan, so what have you waited on besides soap?
Actually, I was going to say something kind of cool that kind of goes off what you were talking about with the comedian. My daughter's playing basketball. Mm-hmm. Just a tiny quick story here. Yesterday, actually, I was trying to explain to her muscle memory and understanding, find your go-to shot. So when you're in a game, the pressure's on, everyone's on you. You have to worry about hitting one shot. You can hit that. I don't want 9 out of 10 times. I want 19 out of 20 times. I want it better than 9 out of 10. And I told her that's what she needs to be doing now. And I said, and if you do that over and over and over again, you'll gain muscle memory. Your hand-eye coordination, you'll just understand from right there. Your brain will know exactly what kind of pressure to put behind that shot, what kind of angle to put on it, no matter what's in front of you, no matter the pressure. And she looked at me and said, she plays the flute, and she goes, "Oh, it's like playing the flute. You know, when I want a certain sound, I know exactly the pressure, the air to use, the way to shape my mouth to make a certain sound, things like this." And it was just neat to watch her make that connection. As much as I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know anything about a flute, but I can see where you're going. It was neat to watch her do that. She understands it here.
Well, and I bet when she was first learning to play the flute, it was probably pretty painful.
Well,
right?
also you can be
It's not practiced at my house, so I don't know.
you can be under a lot of pressure with an instrument, you know, as you're performing. Mm-hmm. And so you need to know, you know, already be practiced and know how to make that sound at the right time.
Right.
You know, the note.
I was just neat. Personally, I grew up with sports, so it was just neat to watch her take that.
It's the same thing with
that
sports.
lesson and apply it.
Right, sure.
Yeah, she related it to it.
Right.
Waiting for something and seeing it come to fruition.
We're waiting for you to come up with your story.
I know, right? It kind of
Here we are.
I thought of the fun.
Is it going to pay off?
No, it's not. It's not going to pay off. It's never going to pay off. Actually, you know, I don't have a good story for that. I really don't. I'm not
never
saying
faced difficulties because
no, never. It's always been handed to me.
perfect, right?
No. It's hard to think of something that I really had to like. I guess just sit on the spot right now, which is strange. I don't really care about being on the spot. It's not that I get nervous, but to think of stories about my life where literally it's like, oh man, it took me forever to work up to that goal. And I'm so happy to see it happen. And that sounds like such a spoiled perspective, but I just can't think of anything where it's been like, all right, this finally happened. I finally got over the hump.
I can vouch to that though. When we were, because Alan and I grew up together. So when we were small kids, a lot of times when we were learning stuff like sports and all that, Alan just naturally had talent. He would go out and he just kind of could do it.
Oh,
Golly,
shucks, Josh.
Right?
Oh, shucks.
And I'm like, that jerk over there, I have to work so hard to just dribble the ball. And he's just like, oh yeah, I can put it between my legs. I can dribble the ball between my legs. I can do all this. I can do the crossover. And I'm like,
superstar.
I'm just sitting there like, I can't do that. So my dad actually said, I'm going to go a little further into a story for myself and a difficulty that paid off later because it does relate to sports because basketball. I'm trying to keep up with the talent over there. So my dad built this double-sided box. It's a square just big enough for the basketball to fit in both squares. And I had to learn how to dribble just inside that square. And then to change hands, I had to get it out of that square into the other square and then allow it to stay in that square. And it was just big enough for that basketball to fit in there. I had to learn a lot of muscle memory there. It did pay off later because
challenge.
It's one of the strongest things I can do in basketball now is actually dribble. I still can't cross over or not like that, but I can keep a hold of the basketball pretty well. And it was all because I was trying to keep up with perfection over there.
He was trying to keep up with the All-American.
Well, you made it look natural.
All-American boy.
I appreciate it, seriously. But no, there are a lot of things. My business venture, I didn't see it come to fruition, unfortunately, with my game company. There were 2 years worth of work put into that, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. I didn't see it come to fruition, and I don't want an awe. Don't dare do it. So
he's looking for it.
It seems like the things I work the hardest for, I have the most difficulty with actually making them come to fruition. And the things that come natural to me, they're natural. I want to do them because everything in the universe goes path of least resistance naturally. Yeah. It has to be bent and turned and shaped to do otherwise in order to grow. And I haven't had to force myself. Trying to grow has been least successful.
and see, I'm the other end of that spectrum actually. So like anytime someone said, "This is too difficult, you can't do it," and I'm like, "Watch me." Because I want to do the thing that you say I can't do. Like I mentioned this podcast, the idea of it to a few people that I know, and they're like, "That's not going to happen. You can't do that. You can't do that on a shoestring budget." Look at me now, right. And not to bragging on God here because he made that happen, but it's those difficult things. It's like everything in life. I've always when I started learning to play guitar as a kid. Now I know that was painful for my parents. And I wanted to like plug it. My first guitar was an electric guitar. It wasn't an acoustic, so I could get real loud real quick. And it was a Fender amp, and it's a pretty good size. So, and we lived in a very small house, so I'm rattling the rafters, whatever. And they're like, yeah, just stop, like, and back then I harbored anger because I thought that, they told me like, you're probably not going to be a musician. It's probably not in the cards for you. And it wasn't them trying to be discouraging. It's just that they were fed up with listening to, and then they could just, loud and ringing out. I did get better at playing music, and I was pursuing a music career for a time, but it didn't happen. And I know why it didn't happen. Because I had to bring those lessons I learned here. Just like with your business prior to this, Alan, you brought that knowledge, that the things that those, what we call missteps then, allowed us to not make those missteps here.
It's true.
So actually, you just told it another story that something that you didn't see it at the time, and it's paying off now. And it's becoming something bigger.
You mean we can get subscribers from this?
You got to put out the bottom lip.
Give them the puppy dog eyes. Come on.
We can get paid.
Yeah, if people start watching on Rumble.
There might be
right.
sometime we need to take for a My Pillow ad.
Yeah. Come on, Mike. Come on, Mr. Lindell.
And you hear us now.
I have 2 My Pillows, okay?
We love your pillows.
so give us some money, please.
Rock on.
Doesn't have to be much. We'll mention it.
There's a mention there.
We just need everybody else to know that we're serious.
That's right.
That and between that and Black Rifle Coffee.
Oh, there's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
those, yeah.
Yeah, I would love for Black Rifle Coffee Company to.
You need to say their name right first.
Yeah. Let me say that more clarity. Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Ooh, that was sharp.
Yeah.
That was sharp.
Yeah. See, when I concentrate, I just didn't have the patience.
That's
Right?
fair. There you go.
Patience.
I wanted to get to the end of it really quickly.
Patience is a virtue. Okay.
I found that interesting that Louis was talking about. He had to learn that lesson of patience over and over and over again. Because there's been times where him and I have had, I've had those conversations. Louis, we're like, when is this going to happen? When is this going? And we're both like, well, I think someday. And then when the things start happening, when the things start paying off, and I'm like, hey, I think we got there. And he's like, yeah, this is great. And so to watch God work in just the few years that I've known Louis, I've watched those experiences, some of those experiences. I know he's got
I also learned patience, controlling my anger. Mm-hmm. When I was young, I didn't have very much patience. You would say something to me, and it was a fight. And anything you said, I just ran up on you and just knocked you out. Mm-hmm. And now I just try to listen, hold myself back, and try not to continue that step that I was when I was younger, because it doesn't pay off all the time.
Yeah, it's experience gained through the patience, right?
Mm-hmm. Patience is hard, especially a person like me that I lose my patience real quick. But it was hard, and I learned how to do it. And I didn't have that patience with my wife, and I lost her because of that patience. And I learned, and now with my second woman, we've been together a long time.
Very long time, yeah. Most of the
So you
years
must
I've
be
been on
doing
this earth.
something right.
Thank God for that.
She's a patient woman too, though.
Yeah, she is. But she's also tough. She don't hold back. She gets right in my face sometimes.
Her and Laura are cut from the same cloth on that. Tough ladies.
There you go.
All us men can figure out ways to be extremely difficult, Yvonne. I don't know if you know that or not.
You gotta have patience in everything that you do in life.
You got a story about difficult fillers.
You gotta have patience in everything you do in life, even at work, even with your kids, even with your lady, and everything that you do in life, because everything is always going to bring you down. Not everybody is going to agree with you, and they're going to try to pull your buttons, and you got to learn how to control those.
Yep. Nobody's perfect.
No, and life ain't easy.
Nope.
Sure ain't. Speaking of things that aren't easy, Hunter Biden's having a hard time.
Well, that's something that is easy. That's a person that is easy.
Ooh.
Thanks, Sterling.
Does that have to get cut?
Hey,
I'm
he
sorry.
got that one on time.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Does that have to get cut? I'm sorry.
it's getting better. No, that's pretty funny. If it's funny, it stays. Coming from the Post Millennial this week, FBI agents say there is enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with tax and gun crimes. Now, this is the FBI saying this. So you know that there's some things actually happening there, because the FBI doesn't do anything to the Biden family, right? You don't mess with them.
Nope. That's what Biden says.
To quote Biden.
You don't
Right.
mess. You don't F with the Bidens.
That's right. So the FBI sees enough evidence against Hunter Biden to charge the president's son with tax and gun purchase crimes, sources told the Washington Post. Charges are now pending on whether or not a U.S. attorney in Delaware will file such charges. The Post reports that investigators began looking into younger Biden in 2018 after he became the central focus of then President Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. The investigation started with investigations into Hunter's finances related to overseas business ties. Investigators would then delve into how he lied about his income or whether he lied on gun purchase paperwork in the same year, the source told the Post. A viable criminal case against Hunter has been assembled for months now, though it is up to prosecutors at the Justice Department and not agents to make the call on whether to file the charges against him. David C. Weiss, a Trump nominee from 2017, is supervising the case. Attorney General Merrick Garland has said. So, given the fact that this is up to the Justice Department, do you think that they're actually going to pull the trigger on all of this evidence?
Okay, so I think maybe if we get new people in November, that they may give some courage to some people in the Justice Department, because I think just like the FBI, there are people who really believe in justice, but there are also people that are at the top that do not believe in justice at all.
Yeah.
So it would take someone with a lot of courage in the Justice Department to say, no, we're going to try this, with Merrick Garland at the helm. Or if they could possibly have him impeached. I don't know what they could do, but that's also a possibility with new people in the Congress.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations with Merrick that I have a little bit of a tough time with.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the AG.
And I think I'm with you there, and I think that as strong as a person as David looks to be, not David Weiss, I think that Merrick Garland would put a roll of duct tape around him real quick and stop him from being able to actually rolling out this case and pressing the charges.
That's the FBI person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Justice Department.
So as a general rule, the Justice Department doesn't move forward on any kind of cases near an election cycle. It's just because it can affect the election cycle and make it not fair. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until after after the election cycle is over before we really know anything about this.
Yeah. One thing I know that this story that we're looking into right now, I mean, with this and FBI agents and everything, we're not going to find it on Twitter. And until well after the elections also, right, Alan? And probably after the elections, they'll say, oh, it was a mistake.
I mean, Facebook's already told us we can't see. Did you get that update?
I've gotten a few things from Facebook recently.
Within a couple of days of the election, they're wiping out anything that could be considered, anything that could affect the election or how people vote.
I guess with money,
with that being said,
you could get out of anything. If you got the money and you're rich, you could get out of murder. Look at OJ. He got out of it. And this is something that I think that they're not going to follow because Biden's going to be paying these people off. Sooner or later, they're just going to forget about it.
Wait, you said OJ did it?
I think he did.
Oh,
Allegedly.
I didn't have time to gasp.
I think he did, yes.
Because, I mean, it didn't end up being. Yeah. So I guess they had to acquit it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They couldn't prove it, but
Yeah.
the money got them out. Good lawyers.
Yeah. I guess being rich can afford you all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Just like being a Biden, right?
Right. But you have to remember that is not the end of the story either. So keeping that in the perspective,
Yeah.
eternal perspective, I guess you would say.
True. But
If you believe that, then it will eventually come back. And on top of that, people know.
Yeah. More and more people are waking up and they're realizing that there actually is a lot more on that laptop than just these things, and a lot more things that they can charge Hunter for. So I think the FBI can only build a larger case from here to then, once you said, pass the elections, right?
Yeah.
We can have an even bigger case that's gonna.
We'll see what happens.
Excuse me, blew the roof of the place.
They'll see how long they can keep Air Force One in the air, keep him safe.
From
They can't
church-
arrest me. I'm in the air. I'm not on the ground. Don't touch me.
Oh my
Home base.
goodness.
Home base. Don't touch me.
Oh my gosh, that'll be like the White Blazer, right? They're watching the Air Force One in the air.
Oh my goodness.
I just made that parallel. Thanks, Alan.
You're very
Teaching lessons all over this week.
I'm trying. None of them are great, but they'll get
He's
there.
working hard.
And thanks, Louie. You helped me make that connection because you talked about how OJ did it.
Super team.
Yes.
Oh man, look at that.
It's all coming together. See,
Yeah,
things
there
that we
you
didn't
go.
know it in the time, but it paid
It-
off.
Yeah, paid off. There you go.
Just like all the officials. Paid off.
And speaking of things that actually pay off over time, is as the polls since 2012. Okay, coming from the Political Insider, poll shows conservative Latinos with massive swing towards Republicans. A new poll shows Republican gains with Latinos are being driven by conservative-leaning voters who have swung massively away from the Democrat Party and now represent a solid GOP base. I wonder why that is. The finding is described by NBC News reporter Mark Murray as fascinating, to say the least. Yeah, I find it fascinating that he finds it fascinating. How about that? I guess it's Murray. I don't know. The spelling is weird. Anyway, I don't care. He's on NBC, so it doesn't matter if his name's right. Notes that an NBC News Telemundo poll from 2012 shows conservative Latinos wanted Democrats to control Congress by a 9-point margin. Today, that number has shifted toward Republicans by a 56-point measure. Quote, that's a net 65-point swing in a decade, and it helps to explain how Republicans have cut into Democrats' lead among Latino voters.
They're waking up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're we always talk about the skin in the game, right? That's one of my favorite things to say. You have skin in the game, it changes the game. And in that episode, a couple of episodes ago, when I said, a young Democrat without a heart, or, if you're a young Republican, you don't have a heart. If you're an old Democrat, you don't have a brain. And that's just skin in the game. So, these people that are coming here, they're establishing businesses, and they're trying to leave from where they are because they're in poverty, come to a country where they should have promise, and they're they're doing the hard work. They're doing the work. They're becoming citizens. They're doing the work by putting in hours and hours and hours to build their businesses, just to watch them get squashed. And inevitably, as of right now, watch inflation destroy them, watch illegal immigration start to overwhelm these towns that they're in, because these people live in border towns. I don't care how many times CNN and MSNBC says people who look like me live in border towns. They don't. A handful do, but the majority of the population are people who came here legally and established these towns and established these businesses.
Yes.
And they're really getting just battered by this administration.
Well, and they're told that, hey, don't worry about having a work ethic, because we'll just hand you the money.
Right.
And with the high crime rate also, because the crime rate is within their,
Their community.
their community.
Yeah,
right.
It's because of illegal immigration coming into those neighborhoods, and it's not just from, people always say it's Mexico. It's not just from Mexico. That's just the border that's being used. People come from all over the world,
Right.
and they're coming. They're just using that border all over the world.
All those Canadian border people. I hate when they come across that border in Canada.
Well,
They're
it's,
terrible,
About
eh?
free health care. Hey.
it's like Nancy said. We need them to come in so they could work on the farms.
Yeah.
That's what Nancy Pelosi said. Yeah, that's exactly what she said this week.
Yeah.
Tells you what she thinks about Hispanics.
And so the
You're only
Hispanics that are
fit to do that.
owning businesses and working their butts off saying, excuse me, you know,
I
and they're
guess-
saying maybe not Democrat, you know.
Like I said, the
Nancy?
50 in Martha's Vineyard, they picked up, all of them picked up a shovel, no one would have been knocked out, no one would have been taken out of there. They'd have walked up and been like, hey, what are the 50 of you doing? Shovel. You don't even have to, you're in Martha's Vineyard. You don't even have to hold the shovel right. They don't know how to do work. They're not going to call you on it.
We're picking apples.
They're like, I guess that's the way you hold a shovel. I don't know.
Yeah, 12 guys, one lawnmower. That's all I need to do. Mowing the lawn, man. Right?
Well, they could come to Indianapolis and pick corn.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Man.
Some rich. I'm just picturing some rich Martha's Vineyard resident being like, I guess it takes 12 people to mow grass. I would never know. No one in my family has ever done that.
They say, pay us $120 today. We got to go get a gallon of milk.
What show was that when she was like, it's just a banana. How much is it? Like $50 or something? She said something silly.
Oh, yeah, I see that too.
Whoa.
We're making fun of it, but this is what Nancy Pelosi thinks about these immigrants.
Right.
That they're low
Disconnect.
class. They come down here and they're only good for picking, working on a farm, picking apples, picking corn and stuff like that. She don't realize that these people could be very intelligent people, you know, and they could probably do a lot of things and working in
And
office.
they are doing a lot of things. They're working in the medical field. They're owning their own business, as we mentioned already. There's some in politics.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's sky's the limit. This is still America at this moment. So
Yes.
And not only
Right.
that, but we're talking about what is that big shift caused by, right? What is that big shift other than the Democrats being obviously racist? And I know that word is lost. That's all its meaning nowadays. But when you tell people that, hey, you're only good for this low level job thing, you're saying only this and this particular type of race can do this. Yvonne almost made my same mistake.
it's true.
Alan
I
corrected
need
it
to
for her. He foresaw it. So
He
even
was
more
quick
talent.
with the hands.
Yeah, even more talent at the table.
All American.
That disconnect is they don't share the family values.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see the Democrats want to see the destruction of the family unit.
That's the other thing that many of them are Catholic, as far as the Hispanic community, and so the
Christian Catholic, yes.
are you know, pro-life, pro-family, pro-God, and that kind of thing. So
And if you discuss that with a lot of
pro-hard
Hispanic,
work.
yeah, a lot of Hispanic people, that's always the almost always the case. Almost always the case. I would say 98% of every Hispanic person I've ever met in my life always had all of those things. All those ducks are in a row.
Yes.
Because it's ingrained in the culture.
Very much so.
And the Democrats don't believe in any of that. Democrats don't
No.
believe in any of that.
And they're being more open about what they believe now with the gender thing and all of these things that they're throwing out there. And the Hispanics are going, wait, not what I like. No, I don't like that at all. And when they make up their minds, by the way, they make up their minds and they're done. They're very, you know, they have strong opinions. So they're
As
not,
they
and
should.
they're because they're so close knit with their families, it spreads like crazy.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who had a Hispanic friend, and you know, she knew one person and the whole family loved her. You know, the one person loved her, the whole family loved her. So you can imagine if the one person hates what you just said, guess what? The whole family just hates what you just said. So
Yeah. Hear that, Nancy?
it's both ways.
That's
Listen up.
like
Can you hear me now?
that's like us Puerto Ricans. We was born in a farm in Puerto Rico. My grandfather, he brought the whole family over. He sold the farm and brought everybody to New York. Not all of us knew how to read and write. But my uncle, who didn't know how to read and write, built a grocery store, started selling stuff. My other uncle started driving taxi. My other uncle started selling Kool-Aid and stuff like that on the street and ice cream. And they didn't come down here to pick apples. They came out here to do better, and they did. And then they put all their kids through school and college.
They created generational wealth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we could be dumb, but we also smart in other things and a lot of other things, you know.
Ingenuitive, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's, bringing skills here, bringing not even necessarily skills, bringing drive. Drive. In America, you can accomplish so many things based on an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You need startup capital. It is what it is, and you can build up to that. You can see something and grow it to see it grow and, you get the fruition. I can't speak now. I'm trying to get there. But
we found it. There's a difficulty.
A difficulty with Alan in speaking. Okay.
But you can have a goal here and actually see it come true.
Yeah, because a lot of young kids nowadays, they have no drive. They just simply have no drive. Oh, what's on TikTok right now? That's their drive. What's on the next trend? Oh, they're shooting potatoes at each other now. I'm going to do that. That's my next project.
50-second attention span.
Yeah, not even that long.
And this is the hard part to talk about because we do this, right? Like this is what we do, and a lot of them is how many more likes can I get? How many clicks can I get? How can I
certainly
attention versus this is a business model. But they're looking for that attention, and I mean, unfortunately, they're not getting the attention in the right places.
Yeah,
it's not growing anything for them.
But if their attention was here, they'd learn that hey, drive can pay off.
Yeah.
I mean, work hard, and you can accomplish big things, and stay focused on your goal. Because when your eye is off the goal, and you start to step away a little bit, it's almost like a boat going adrift, right? You forgot to start paddling back to shore.
It's going to take you longer to get back where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you can't get back to shore as easily. So you have to paddle even harder. And before you know it, you've took a nap and you've already been spilled off into the ocean. And so you got to really stay focused on your goals. Stay focused on your goals and have the drive to keep going forward. And you can learn that from a culture that is swinging Republican now. And so if you have drive, I'd say you probably ought to vote red. I'm going to sway the election right now.
Vote red.
Because we know you have the drive to go down to those.
Be red pilled.
Well, one group talks about it.
Yeah.
The other group does it.
Yeah. We know you have the drive to go
Do
down
it.
there. Yeah, exactly. And vote.
November the 5th, right?
Yes.
November 5th.
Yep. You got to remember the 5th of November. I
Nice.
think it's a quote from a film, I think. I'm not sure.
And it's better to vote in person instead of just sending a mail in.
Vote in person on election day.
Yeah. Show them your ID. I know. See, I heard that it was difficult for certain people to get an ID, but I've never met a person that's like, nope, I have no clue how to get an ID.
That's a big lie.
And in Indiana, dude, it's super easy. All you need is access to the internet. You don't have to go to the library, bro.
The motor
Library has
vehicle-
internet for free.
The motor vehicle give you a free
ID.
ID.
State ID, yeah. And if you're in Indiana in particular, I'll just go ahead and give you the link now because I was at a license branch for 10 years. Go to mybmv.com, and you can learn how to get an Indiana state ID.
That's right.
That way you can be at the polls and vote red with us on November 5th.
Suddenly our population surges. People from everywhere come to Indiana and get an ID.
Like, hey, we know how to get one there. It's got an entire list on the website.
Right.
As long as they're coming here to vote red, I'm good with it.
What?
Yeah, I got a letter.
I'll
saying,
take yellow, guys. You want to vote yellow? I'm with you.
I got a letter saying that if I wanted to vote on paper and mailed it in or go personally, I said I'd rather go personally because you never know what that letter might wind up.
Right.
Could be in the water, could be in the garbage.
Could end up in a creek.
Right. 2,000 mules. Okay.
Yeah. it could end up in a cooler. That's supposedly camera equipment. No correlation there. Completely unrelated.
I wonder when I die, I could still be voting.
He probably.
As long as you vote Republican.
I'll go twice for you, Louis. Just leave me your ID in the will. What do you mean that's not me? Can't you see I look exactly like that picture?
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
speaking of going off the rails.
Yeah. Pardon me. Speaking of pardons, coming from the Post Millennial this week, there's a second story from them. We like them. Biden pardons all people convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law.
Woo!
Trying to buy votes much?
Are you happy, Lou?
I'm waiting for it to come here to Indianapolis. Hit a few tokes. And
He's
I won't
kidding.
have to be arrested.
He's kidding.
You can't smoke it in a pipe because that's not simple. You can't use any crazy apparatus. He said simple possession.
So, President...
Just kidding.
Anything the president does is simple.
Because he is, in fact.
It has to be simple.
Very much simple.
Where are we? So President Biden pardoned all former Vice President Biden, we should say, pardoned all people convicted of marijuana possession under federal law on Thursday, and stated that his administration would look at whether or not the drug should be classed as a Schedule I drug, along with cocaine and heroin. These pardons affect nearly 6,500 individuals, so 6,500 new Democrat votes, right? Just saying. Anyway, here...
Do the math.
Unless they have previous felonies, in which case it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. It's like, what do you mean I don't get to leave jail? You smashed into that convenience store, sir. That's a crime? Yes, that's a crime.
I'm just saying they can't vote. Because they have a felony, they can't vote.
So the 6,500 individuals who were convicted on simple marijuana possession charges between 1992 and 2021, for those Gen Zs out there, there's like, what do you mean 92? We haven't got there yet. His administration is also pardoning offenders in Washington, D.C. as well, reports the New York Times. He made an announcement in a tweet. He gets to be on Twitter still.
He's like
Lucky
a bird.
him.
Because he's not mean. Because he's simple.
It's because he's simple.
He's not mean. Oh, my goodness.
As I've said before, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. Today I'm taking steps to end our failed approach. Allow me to lay them out. Jill, where are we?
What? Jill, did you lay out my pants?
And that is a direct quote. No.
Could be Kamala over there helping out too, because she used to smoke it.
Pants?
Yes.
I knew there was that one guy.
Good God.
Let's go, Brandon.
It's on my hat. Maybe you can't read it from there. So, quote, first, I'm pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple, it says offenses of simple marijuana possession. There are thousands of people who were previously convicted of simple possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result. My pardon will remove this burden and allow them to vote for me. Second, I'm calling on governors to pardon simple state marijuana possession offenses. Just as no one should be in a federal prison solely for possessing marijuana, no one should be in a local jail or state prison for that reason either. Third, we classify marijuana as at the same level as heroin and more serious than fentanyl, which, unfortunately, I do agree with a lot of the things he's saying here. This is very, very true. It makes no sense. I'm asking at Secretary Bakara, I don't know if I said that name right, and the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to initiate the process of reviewing how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
Okay, so I agree with the problem. I do not agree with the solution. The solution would be to make fentanyl a Schedule C drug.
Swap them,
right?
right? Move fentanyl to the top, that's Schedule 1 drug. Move marijuana to hardly any at all.
Marijuana can stay or go. It doesn't make any difference, but fentanyl is definitely dangerous.
Cocaine also.
Okay, I'm from the Nancy Reagan era. Just say no. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Well, I
and
know
that
that
included marijuana. So I mean, we could have that discussion with a lot of people, but
I have a little bit of a libertarian view on this, and I know that's weird for. And Alan might be rejoicing in that, but there's a little bit of a libertarian view on this particular subject, and it's. I think that people should be allowed to take part if they want to, and I don't think that it should be against the law to do so. However, that being said, yes, we've got to tax and regulate it, right? Tax and regulate it. Because if you're going to get some tax money so the Democrats can keep printing all this money and spending it, that's a good place to start. But not only that, I've known a lot of people that was their way of relaxing or whatever, because some people have a couple glasses of wine or whatever in the evening, and that's how they relax. I'm not justifying it, because I don't particularly personally agree with doing those things. However, if that's how you relax in the evening, per the law, I think it should be okay and permissible, given that you're the correct age. So, like I know cigarettes is 18, right? Or did that move to 21?
I think it's 18.
18. So, because it does alter the mind, much like alcohol does, I think there should be like an age limit, like age 21, where it's permissible per the law. It's taxed and regulated. So that way we can get rid of these things being laced with things like fentanyl, where you find these kids that are having to get, what is that drug that they have to use? Narcan. To resuscitate them because they've smoked a little joint or something, trying it for the first time because they were curious. They were a stupid kid. And then now they're lying dead on the floor and they have to have this Narcan administered to them to bring them back.
See, I'm a very cruel person, because I have a lot of friends who are in law enforcement and fire department and EMT and things like that. And I'm sorry, I think there should be a Narcan age limit. I really think after like 27, because that 27 rule of people killing themselves or whatever, I think there needs to be a cutoff of like, after this age, you don't get Narcan. I'm sorry.
Or after 15 times.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times, people I know who are firefighters are like, literally, I use Narcan on the same person every week.
Yeah.
Every single week, I find this person strung out, completely dead, almost completely dead, and we have to revive them and deal with them fighting us, just so the next week they go back to doing it. And I'm like, look, at some point, you have to say, okay, look, you were a kid. You were this age. You were dumb. You did something. You tried something. It was an accident.
Agree.
And then at some point, you have to be like, look, this is obviously the path you've chosen. I know that's horrible. A lot of people say that, you don't
natural
understand.
Selection.
Right? Well, a lot of people say you don't understand it until you have a drug addict in your family and you watch them struggle. I just don't have that kind of patience.
Yeah.
As much as we talked about patience earlier, I don't have
I want to understand what are we talking about? Marijuana?
Oh, I'm talking about Narcan right now. I'm like actually bringing somebody back from an opioid and just saying, look, at a certain age, there's a cutoff. As far as I'm concerned, we don't Narcan every person on the street. We just say, hey, you're over this X age. I'm sorry, you're on your own.
Are they mixing it with weed?
So that is a common problem nowadays. This is happening to a lot of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people they're going out and they're getting this unregulated and also unfortunately untaxed marijuana. And when it's unregulated, when there's no one that can keep their eyes on it, like a Philip Morris, instead of filling it with chemicals that are going to kill you their way, it fills you with chemicals that will kill you right away. Because fentanyl gets laced into it more often than not nowadays. Because
I agree.
It's coming from China.
I agree with them making marijuana legal, as long as they don't mix it with nothing.
Yeah, so I'm saying regulate it. Yep.
Liquor is more of a killer drug than marijuana is.
So
not unless you don't mix it. But if you have regular marijuana, ain't gonna kill you. It's something that God put on this earth anyway. Yes, it is. Also, I could see them outlawing coke, crack. I seen people do crack in New York City. Yeah. And that's not a pretty sight. You don't know what it does to a woman. A guy, it brings them down and makes them look bad, but it makes a woman worse because she's out there sunning herself, doing crazy things.
No inhibitions, yeah.
And you see them walking like zombies at nighttime out there looking in the floor. They see a little rock and they think it's crack, you know? And that's, we used to drive around in the neighborhood and see them and say, oh, the night of the living dead, they're walking around.
Yep.
And that's a sad sight to see kids like that. I know kids, boys, that would give themselves, man. You know, I looked at that. They would go to these dealers and not have money and give their butt up to get that crack. And it makes me want to cry, I tell you. It's sad. If people ever been to New York and see these people, how they act and how they are, it's a sad sight, you know, and they should get rid of all that drugs. Those drugs are no good for the people.
Yeah. And you know what? If a thing like marijuana could allow them to relax, maybe so that they could curb that a little bit, they could go to a local dispensary, right, and say, I have a problem with this. I'd like to pivot that, and just, you know, have something that takes the edge off. Again, I don't disagree with it. I think if they cracked open a book called the Holy Bible, it'd probably take all that away from them. But, you know, if that's the temporary Band-Aid that they chose and the time, they should be able to do it safely, especially in the United States of America, where we can regulate it. We can make it safe for people to consume so that they not out here killing themselves every week.
Right.
Right.
Well, I was just thinking unregulated alcohol, right? Unregulated alcohol. The first run of alcohol out of a still, or even the first run in a fresh batch, can actually carry incredibly harmful chemicals that you ingest, right? So we have companies that are regulated, that know this, that test. Otherwise, these things can cause blindness. They can cause brain damage, other things like that. And that's just alcohol. That's something we have in abundance in this country, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying, oh, we need to go back to prohibition, nothing like that. But I'm saying there was a reason why that stuff is cracked down on and why we have the ATF, because a lot of people say, well, why are they bothering poor people who want to make alcohol in the woods, right? But that's really why, is because you run that first. If someone bottles something, hands it to you, you're trusting them. And then you drink it. It's unregulated. It hasn't been tested or anything like that. Then it causes brain damage, blindness, things like that. Yeah. You took that risk. Sure, you had that right. But just like with marijuana or any kind of drug, marijuana especially, since we're talking about dispensaries, it needs to be regulated. And and you are making a ton of jobs between growing it, between the dispensaries themselves. I mean, I'm a libertarian, so I hate taxes, period. But you should definitely tax it and save people in other ways.
Tax the vices.
Right.
Right.
You want it? You want to do it? It's just going to cost you.
Yeah.
Now, what we see across the country is that you have to be able to keep the price after taxes and things like that down. A lot of other people, it's still, in other states, it's still cheaper to go buy it from your street dealer than it is to buy at the dispensary because the taxes are so high. So you got to kind of balance that.
The reason I waved, and I don't know if it got caught on camera or not, the reason I waved is because my niece actually just stepped into the studio for a second to say hello. And I like all those points, Alan. Thank you for driving that home.
Oh, shucks. Thank you, Josh.
But if we could get rid of all of it, it'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot great if we could get rid of everything, like it harms people.
Yeah. That would be great.
I think the first step ought to be putting fentanyl on the high list.
That should be the number one.
There's no reason for it not to be. And, you know, the border, that would take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We could do something like, I don't know, build a big, beautiful wall. That might help.
Remain in Mexico.
Yeah. You know, let them process them there. Years. Yeah. Because they were doing a good job under the Trump administration. Mexico was doing a really good job of processing and allowing the only the people that truly needed asylum or truly wanted to immigrate properly through during that time.
And the cartels are making a whole lot of money on all of this. So,
And they don't care who they kill. They just keep putting in the drugs.
they're the ones that you don't want to have, that you don't want to have money, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Or we could just tell Mexico, hey, you're American now, and then just move the cartels down further south, and then their border will be this much bigger.
So much smaller. It'd be so much easier to cover that small gap.
Because then we could just send in the U.S. Army and take them all out. It's called Conquer and Keep. It was the rule of law for all of history, right? We're the only country that's ever had this much power and didn't do everything with it.
Didn't try to take over another country.
Right.
Wow.
What nice guys that we are as a country. We all the time we're like, oh yeah, Saudi Arabia, you can walk all over us and talk trash and even lower our barrel rate by how many was that, Louis? 200
yeah.
200
million. 200 million barrels. Just lowered it. Punked out Biden real quick. Or we could conquer and keep.
Yeah.
Go back to old way of doing. Obviously, we're not going to do that. I'm not making a call to action. But
I mean, strategically, it'd be better just to go ahead and take Canada.
yeah, say you're Americans now. Stop speaking French, by the way. We don't like that here.
We don't do that here. We'll accept Spanish.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We.
But no, that would be, if we wanted oil, if we really wanted oil, and the easiest route, of course, would be just going right over the border.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drill, baby, drill.
Come here, Justin. Come here. Not a call to action.
No, not a call to action. Just saying, if there were a route to go, why would you go across the ocean when you can just go up north? And they don't have an army because we're their army.
Just saying, we have options.
I mean, honestly, NATO countries are just like, hey, we have 5 people in the army and 3 guns. Oh, and we have the U.S. on our side.
Oh,
we
and
just
we have the U.S., yeah.
And we could just tell them that they're the U.S. now. And then, like, what are they going to do?
I actually,
and you're not paying your fair share, so we don't have to worry about paying for it
was going
anymore.
to say that I was going to go that route. Trump came on and said, "Hey, you're not paying your fair share. Why are we paying 50%? You're paying 2%. You're not even paying 2%. Pay your 2%."
Yeah, pay something.
Right.
And
I can talk about NATO for hours.
also, we don't just have a Mexican border that they're sneaking through. They're sneaking through Canada and other places.
Oh, yeah.
In the United States. Mm-hmm. You could go straight from Canada into New York through the woods and come out in Bear Mountain, because Bear Mountain goes right into
Just
Canada.
giving them pointers.
Yeah.
This is how you do it, step by step.
Instructions from Louis.
If you want to come through the Canadian border.
And
soon to be America.
They should cover all that.
Yeah. Speaking of covering things, Daily Wire covered what I found to be a story worth telling this week. Oklahoma governor signs bill stopping gender transition services at children's hospitals. It sounds so strange that we'd have to do that. I mean, anyway, I'm going to go into the article first, and then we'll commentate. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt, one or the other. He's Republican, so we like him, and signed a bill on Tuesday that prohibits gender transition services for children at an Oklahoma pediatric hospital. The bill requires Oklahoma Children's Hospital to stop offering gender services to minors in order to keep millions of dollars in federal COVID relief money. Quote, by signing this bill today, we are taking the first step to protect children from permanent gender transition surgeries and therapies. I don't like the word therapies. It's not a therapy. The governor said in a news release, it was wildly inappropriate for taxpayer dollars to be used for condoning, promoting, or performing these types of controversial procedures in healthy children. I don't care if they're healthy or not. They shouldn't be performing these procedures. The governor also said the bill does not go far enough. I agree with that. And called on the legislature to ban medical gender transition for children across the state. Quote, I'm calling for the legislature to ban all irreversible gender transition surgeries and hormone therapies on minors when they convene next session in February 2023. We cannot turn a blind eye to what's happening all across our nation. And as a governor, I will not allow life-altering transition surgeries on minor children in this state of Oklahoma. Wow. Just wow. Like I said, it sounds weird just to say that we have to have stuff like that. Just a few months ago, really, would you think that you would ever have to utter words
Children's
like that?
Hospital? No, not for a transition. I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
And the fact that they had to sign this to stop the hospital from doing these sexual, gender, trans, whatever they're calling it now. I don't even know what the proper term is now because it changes all the time. I think the last term I heard was like gender affirmation surgery or something.
Yeah, that's what they like to call it. Yeah. How do you feel? Oh, I feel like this. Okay, you are that now.
Yeah, but
No. Truth doesn't change, people. God created you the way that you are.
That's right.
And so you have to base your decisions on truth, and that is speaking the truth. What he's doing is speaking the truth to these people and saying, no, that is not appropriate.
yeah,
Standing up for that in his position, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And the whole country should do it, and we need to stop the nonsense and stop teaching the kids that it's okay or that there's any doubt. We just need to tell them the truth.
stop pushing it on them too.
Stop pushing a lie on them.
Yeah,
And treat the mental health problem.
yeah,
Right.
If there actually is,
If there is even that kind of problem, it could just be,
Parents.
a kid being silly.
Well, I'm saying at that age, I can see that. But I'm saying as they
Right.
get older, when you see adults doing that, generally that comes along with
Mental health.
substantial mental issues. And I'm not trying to say that, these people are crazy. I'm just saying that those coincide. Suicidal thoughts. That's why you don't see a difference you don't see a drop in suicides between pre-transition and post-transition. Those people, the numbers stay exactly the same. So those people were never happy to begin with. They had other problems and they thought this was the problem.
This goes from 47% to 48%.
They're like, hey, I felt this way, which means I'm obviously not right. There's something, I'm meant to be this, and that would fix the problem. But that doesn't fix the problem. That obviously makes it worse because now they've done this drastic surgery. They've done this drastic thing thinking it's going to fix the problem, and it doesn't. So it compounds.
Yeah,
There are people who have had that surgery and regretted it later and realized that it was a mistake and spoken out about it and explained where they were at and the regret that they had for that.
Yeah,
So,
gluing the parts back on doesn't do it.
It doesn't.
No.
You can't do.
it's not a Mr. Potato Head. It doesn't work that way.
No. Nope, doesn't work.
Does not work that way. But the fact that they're doing this with children, I like that sound effect, by the way. We didn't have that on the soundboard. That was all Alan.
Good job, Alan.
Thank you.
He had another talent. I got to pick on him. But little kids, remember when you were, maybe you don't remember when you were 5, but if you remember when you were, 5, 7, 10 years old, what were the biggest decisions you were making at that age? Do I want a cookie? And will mom and dad give it to me? Right? About right? Is that
Right.
one of the biggest decisions you were making about that time?
Sure.
Kids at that age are very confused.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they want. If they want to be a fireman or a policeman or this and that, they're confused. And somebody's got to direct them in the right direction.
And that's the thing. Like there's a hierarchy, right? There you have parents, you have teachers, you have adults that you've been told that have your best interest in mind. And when your parents are looking at you saying, you know what, little Bobby, you wore a dress. The first thing you wanted to wear was a dress. So that must mean that you are a girl.
Yeah.
You want to play with a Barbie instead of a G.I. Joe. That means you must be a girl. No, I mean, you just picked up that toy or wore that outfit.
Kids being kids.
Right.
Because kids are goofy, but they don't know yet. They don't know yet. And that's why we're here. We're not here to pander to what we think what direction they're going. We're here to show them how to think, so they can assess it for themselves. Now, hey, if they hit the age of 18, unfortunately, now they're an adult, and even if you don't like it and they choose to do so, that's not against the law. But up until then, if you're instilling those values early, if you're saying, hey, assess your situation, what do you think? Do you think this is what you want to be doing? Allow them to make their own decision for sure, but also, show them how to think about these situations. Now, when they're 2 and 3, obviously, that they're not making that decision. They don't even know their colors yet, probably. I don't know developmental stages.
They're learning their colors.
Yeah, about that age, right?
Right.
2 and 3. So if they don't know the difference between blue and green, how do they know the difference between their situation and someone else's situation? Yeah, and I call it a situation because they don't know boy, girl, whatever. They don't mom, dad.
Literally
right?
everything makes them sad at some point. Like, you took my toys.
Right.
It's not like I think I'm a guy and I'm a girl or something type of major decision making right there
A friend of mine made a
that
point.
they're ready for.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. A friend of mine made a good point. He said, if a teacher looked at my son, my 5-year-old son, and said, a boy who likes another boy is gay, my son would look at his best friend and say, well, I like my best friend.
Right.
That must mean I'm gay.
Right.
Yeah. They wouldn't, they don't understand the nuance. They don't understand the gray that's in between that black and white. They only see the black and white because those are the options that they have. They understand the options that are available. They don't understand there's tons of nuance in between. So yeah, if you look at a 5-year-old and you say, hey, boys like boys, they're gay. And they're going to look at their best friend and believe that they're gay. And they're going to, change. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just upsetting.
And that's all it takes. So, that's all it takes right there.
That's why they're called
that
impressionable. Yeah.
Right.
So, and like you said, they trust the adults around them to give them the right direction. And if they don't, then
I thought they were impressionable because their skulls were still soft.
that too.
Okay.
Literally
That part is true.
and figuratively. Yeah.
And kids are that young, they like to experiment. And if you don't teach them the right things, they'll experiment on anything.
Yep. How to think. They need that how to think. Give them the guardrails. Don't.
It's
Don't just.
it's like when you teach your
These
little
are the
kid.
rules.
It's like you teach a kid. He sees flame. He's going to put his hand on the flame. You're going to stop him and tell him, no, that's going to burn you. If you go out there and steal, you're going to teach him, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. The same thing with gender.
Exactly.
You got to teach them.
Yeah.
I see.
And
I love my
I
kids.
still go back to God made you, and that's the best defense, and it's lost in this culture.
Well, the devil's also working overtime on that too.
He sure is. And we're gonna put a stop to him right now with a little bit of prayer. So we're gonna close this up, and I'm gonna say, Father God, I want to thank you for this time of fellowship. Like I said, once again, just like at the beginning, allows us this time to point right back at you, Lord, and glorify you, praise you. Allow people to see that the values that you instill in us through that book of how to think can go to every aspect of our life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 I'm your host, Joshua Cummins. The softer side of faith, family, and politics brought the message this week. Yvonne Metcalf, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Next to me, host of Rodriguez Rants, Louis Rodriguez.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And is there somebody else here? I don't know if there's any.
Is there somebody else in the room?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a ghost.
Oh, wait.
The only talent in the room. Host of the natural talent in the room. The host of Laughing Libertarian, Alan McFarland.
Hey, thank you for having me. I still can't talk.
It's the one flaw.
The one flaw, right? I can't talk. But thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure. And I've been your host, Joshua Cummins. We'll see you next week.